Good morning. Good morning. The song is called Pentimento. It's an original composition. You carried that burden for years, trading it for your tears, guarding it with your fears. The voice of the mutineer, so deep within you couldn't tell. The echo of the tolling bell, no confession could expel the beast within itself. We're all broken, the poet said, like bones and promises. But that's how the light gets in. Free the ghosts within. Bestowed when you were born, sins of the father passed on, blood-born and unadorned. With the rose comes the thorn. With the rose comes the thorn. We're all broken, the poet said, like bones and promises. But that's how the light gets in. Free the ghosts within. But that's how the light gets in. To free the ghost within.
Good morning. These words are what we need. This prayer is for all who are fearful about the economy, about the fate of our country, health care for yourself or your children, for all whose heart aches at the injustices being done to others in our name, for all who fear for the survival of the planet, for all who fear whether they will be allowed to enter, to leave, or to remain. We make this prayer for all who deal daily with failing health, difficult diagnosis, challenging treatments, or healthcare routines, for all who struggle with difficulties at school or work, for all who are facing hard decisions, for all who are living in challenging relationships. We make this prayer for ourselves, for all the fears and concerns, the joys and celebrations. We make this prayer for the children, for their future, and for the every blooming possibilities of spring. We make this prayer to hold in our hearts all the precious blessings of our lives. We make this prayer not because we expect it to make the world turn or change. We make this prayer to remind ourselves of who we are, of what life is, and how important love can be. We make this prayer because these are the words, what we need. It is now time for the Time for All Ages for the Blessing of the School Year presented by our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, Beth Curtis.
Good morning. Today, we're going to offer a special blessing to all of our kiddos, students, teachers, religious education volunteers, and everyone who helps make learning possible as we head into a new school year and a new church class year. Whether you're homeschooled, attend private or public school, or simply carrying the lessons of life with you, we are extending our blessings onto something that goes with us almost everywhere: our backpacks or our book bags. I invite all the kiddos who are comfortable to come and sit on the steps here with your backpacks, whether they're real or imaginary. This blessing was written by my friend James Chase. He is the DLRE at UU Church in Gainesville. Now, you may notice that this blessing seems to be talking directly to the backpacks, but really, the blessing is for the children who carry the black backpacks, and that's you guys down there. It's for everyone who will carry with you this year books and homework, new ideas and new experiences, your joys and your concerns. So, as we bless the backpacks, know that we are blessing you. Everyone here wants to remind you that this community cares about you, believes in you, and will be cheering you all along through the entire year. So I invite everyone who has a backpack, or real or imaginary, to catch the blessing, and we'll now read a call and response blessing to make it clear: I'm the leader, and you are all. Okay. Backpacks, bags, totes, briefcases, purses. Every one of you gathered here, listen up closely. This is for you. You come to us today brand new, and we bless you. But may you not stay that way. May you lose your clean and perfect look. May you grow rough and humble. May you be overstuffed and scuffed and stained, scribbled on in ballpoint pen, patched and mended and still loved and kept. Always remember, no matter where you go, you come from somewhere. Somebody made you. Somebody cut your straps and set your seams and did their best to give you the strength needed for you to carry all that you may need to carry in the world. May every ounce of care that is poured into you show. Be sturdy, be strong, hold your seams. Carry what is heavy, so the load is lighter on the one who carries you. Though we wish so much that you to carry weren't so heavy. You will carry papers and assignments and report cards. Some of them good, some of them not. You will carry books full of ideas, some of them good. Oh, and some of them not. Stay open to new ideas all your life And never mistake the grades or ideas you carry for your own worth. You are not what is written on the pages inside you. Not everyone will like every backpack. Somebody may have something to say about how you look or how you zip or how many pockets you have. Be fearless, be brave, be proud of exactly how you are made. You are good and you are worthy, no matter what anyone could say. And if you don't find the people right away, keep looking. There is always, always be a who love exactly you. We bless you to be brave, brave enough to carry the good news and to carry the news that isn't good. Be there on the best day of the year and be there on the worst one. Witness all of it, the happy days and the sad days and everything in between. May you see the one who carries you greeted with joy wherever they go. And if they wind up somewhere they are not cherished, be the weight on their shoulders that says, you are still loved. Remind them, everyone, with the jingle of your charm, of the community that loves them. Blessed be. And now, everyone, hold their blessings close to their heart. So you can make a little heart symbol in front of your heart and put all of your intentionality for blessings for these children and their backpacks into it. Now, on the count of 3, we're going to let our blessings fly. So, kids, I want you to be ready to catch the blessings. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Eating the blessings. I think we had some solid catches. Awesome. And now something a little bit different. Marilyn Smart will come forward and help us pass out a small token of our best wishes to each kiddo. And Jasper, why don't you get yours first? Because then I need you to come forward and light the children's chalice. Then the congregation may remain seated as our children head off to their classes as we sing the children's recessional song, As You Go.
I now invite Mary Blizzard to be our chalice lighter for this service. We light this chalice for the light that helps us see clearly, the light of reason which invites us to question, the light of compassion which keeps our questions from becoming cruel, the light of courage which helps us release what no longer serves life, and the light of hope by which new possibilities become visible. Come, let us worship together, not because we have all the answers, but because together we can ask larger, more liberating questions. Thank you, Mary. Let us rise in body and our spirit and sing our call to worship. morning again. I am Claudia Marshall. I'm happy to be your worship leader. I have she, her, hers pronouns. Welcome to Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church, or as we say, BBUUC. And we are glad that you are here if you're visiting with us. If you're here all the time, we're glad you're here. We enter this hour carrying many stories about who we are, stories given to us by our families, our communities, our culture, our successes, and our wounds. Some of those stories have helped us survive. Some have helped us become who we are. And some may have grown too small for the lives we now are called to live. Today, we do not ask one another to arrive perfected or certain. We come as people still becoming, ready to listen, ready to wonder, and perhaps ready to see ourselves whole. I hope that when you came in, that you got a name tag from our welcoming table so that we can call you by name. We will fellowship in the back after the service, so I hope that you will join us. If you have further questions about our church, we do offer Learn About Us classes during the month, and we can refer you to resources within the church because we are lifelong learners. So now let's prepare for the service. Let's silence our phones. I got an announcement for you. Our speaker, Mark Yount, would like to invite you to discuss the book he's writing titled Wisdom on the Way, World Viewing Through the Chaos to See Ourselves Whole. The launch party will be here on August 27th from 7:30 to 9. I want you to come and find out also about a salon series that will meet on alternate Thursday evenings starting September 10th at Bruce Crystal's home. Now, if our singers will come forward, we will sing our first hymn, number 299 in the gray hymnal, or you can follow along on the screen, and we'll sing all the verses. So please rise in body or spirit. Very nice. Thank you very much. We'll recite together our Congreagational Covenant, which we created together and details how we want to be together. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation.
Wake up in the morning and I go downstairs, turn the TV on to hear the state of affairs. Billionaires don't care if prices go higher. President swears he's no liar. Birds are singing in the morning trees. There's a song whistling in the autumn breeze. They ring in my ear like a lover's lullaby. The TV sounds like an auctioneer. I'm just biding my time as I try to get by. What we're sold is so much fool's gold. In the end, tell me who are your friends, and I'll show you how rich you really are. Well, I've traveled that now long and narrow road, often not knowing just where I'm going. I hear the doves cry on the telephone wire. The sound of sorrow greets my tomorrow. I'm just biding my time as I try to get by. But we're sold to so much fool's gold. In the end, tell me who are your friends, and I'll show you how rich you really are. In the end, tell me who are your friends, and I'll show you how rich you really are.
Thank you, Mike. That was great. Our offering is one way we turn possibility into practice. Through our gifts, we sustain a community where people can question old assumptions, grow in compassion, seek justice, and find courage for the work of becoming. If you are visiting with us, please let your presence be your gift. For all who can give, we receive the morning offering with gratitude. You can use the QR code in the order of service, or use one of the envelopes in the gray hymnal. Thank you for your generosity. Please pass the plate to increase the community spirit. We invite our offertory ushers, David Willison and Jean Spinney, to come forward. Our experiences are shaped not only by what happens to us, but also the meanings we give to those experiences. Some meanings open life and others quietly limit what we believe is possible. This morning, Mark Yount invites us to examine those governing assumptions and consider what may happen when we loosen their hold, not through denial or blame, but through curiosity, courage, and a fuller vision of ourselves. All right.
Thank you, Claudia, and good morning, everyone. Many of you know that for some time I've been writing a book called Wisdom on the Way. My subtitle has evolved even from what was printed in the program into this: World Viewing Through the Chaos to See Ourselves Whole. This morning I want to zoom in on that last phrase, to see ourselves whole. I've recently gathered some new insights about wholeness as I've been studying the different ways that we might respond to being broken. How do I come to be in the shape that I'm in? Is my life determined by my environment, by the genetic code that sets forth who I am, by unconscious drives that are able to masquerade as high ideals? How much of my life, how much of my experience depends on me, and how much is beyond my control, perhaps even beyond my influence? I want to explore this morning a layer of experience between the cause and the effect, between the input and the outcome, something irreducibly human in the heart of how we live. Experiences don't just happen to me. I continuously interpret my world. I make sense of the situation, or try to anyway. All I experience is shot through with meaning, with associations, with emotions and potential risks and rewards, with possible outcomes that become a Marvel multiverse if I stop to think about it. But I usually don't stop. Life doesn't stop. It goes on all around me. It changes. It goes through me continuously. So how could I possibly process all that information coming at me and coming from within me if I didn't always already bring with me some idea of what to expect, of what patterns I might encounter, what shortcuts I might decide by? We all live by rough measures of who we are and of what our world is like. That's unavoidable. Unavoidable, too, that these work like assumptions, somewhat tested on the road of life, perhaps, but hardly proven, much less infallible. So what happens when the assumptions I've been living by turn out to be wrong? What if the belief that served me well, perhaps all my life, is now wrecking my life in unexpected ways? What if the assumption by which I once survived a tempestuous family now drives me, say, to dangerous relationship? How long would it take me to even suspect that my problem could be what I've most believed and put my faith in? We hope we'll be able to see counter evidence as it piles up and messes up our lives, but won't it be our most fundamental beliefs that we cling to most stubbornly, despite the evidence even? I want to call those most stubborn assumptions that we have our governing assumptions. How many of us have beliefs about ourselves or our world that are fixated, assumptions that we won't allow ourselves to question, or that camouflage themselves in our lives so well we may not even know they're there? Howard Schubiner makes a helpful distinction between belief and mere thought. There is something incredibly powerful in belief, he writes. It is deeper and more emotional than simply knowing something on a cognitive level. Thoughts are based on ideas that can be altered as new information arises. Beliefs are convictions that are known to be true and not easily alterable. In his recent book, Unlearn Your Pain, Howard Schubiner presents stunning medical evidence of the power of belief, for good and for bad. For over 20 years, he's doctored patients with seemingly incurable pains that don't have any clear medical cause. He has focused on chronic headaches, fibromyalgia, IBS, chronic fatigue syndromes, and now long COVID, and found that most of the pain from these conditions is what medical professionals call functional rather than structural. That is, the pain is real, but there isn't anything wrong in the patient's body that would account for that pain. Through years of research and rigorous experiment, he has shown that much of our chronic and debilitating pain comes not from broken bones, but from disabling beliefs. That sounds crazy at first because it contradicts a governing assumption of the medical model. If a persistent pain is real rather than imagined, we think, then it must have a persisting structural cause. But look at that from the patient's point of view. A doctor who tells me there's nothing wrong with you is dismissing me, denying what I came in for, not only not providing me care, but not even caring enough to care about me. I am not imagining this, I might think. Here's the problem, though. When the doctors cannot identify the problem clearly, then the longer the pain presents, the more diagnoses get piled on. The worse the pain gets, the more the patient is drugged, the worse the side effects. More invasive procedures are clearly in order then, often accelerating the patient's demise. But at least I have a diagnosis or 10. Now they've validated that there's something wrong with me. Now I can join a support group where everyone knows that I'll never get well, but they can help me learn to live with my broken state. Let's say that I get an MRI for my back pain. What will it show? When Schubiner looked at MRIs conducted for research, he found that among 70-year-olds in the sample, 93% had disc degeneration, 77% had disc bulge, 40% had disc protrusion. Among 40-year-olds, those percentages were 68, 50, and 33%. And among 20-year-olds, 37% had disc degeneration, 30% disc bulge, and 29% disc protrusion. Surprised? About the 20-year-olds anyway? Well, here's the kicker. That sample was of people's MRIs who reported no symptoms, no pain. In other words, almost everyone my age who gets an MRI of their back is going to show these conditions, or at least some of them. So, you bet they'll see something wrong with my back once they look at that, and once they do, they will prove once again the medical truth. There you are, Dr. Yount, we found the problem. Even though they could have found the same thing in someone who didn't have any of the pain that I have. In this hypothetical example. The problem is with how we use the medical model and with the authority that we've given it and how it pushes aside a curiosity we might otherwise have about what's really happening. More evidence for you. Another study found that 68% of healthy, pain-free adults showed a labral tear on an MRI of the hip. That's 2/3 of the healthy people. Ultrasound testing found some kind of shoulder abnormality in 96% of non-athlete adults. Another study found that 85% of the pain reported was determined by the subject's expectation of pain. When they expected pain reduction, the relief they reported from a placebo was about the same as if they'd been given morphine. How about that? And here's one you can have fun with on social media. When people expected the COVID vaccine to have side effects, that correlated strongly with the side effects they actually got. Imagine that. Almost as if your truth is whatever you want it to be. The shape that I'm in does depend in large part on the meanings that my life has layered into my brain and my body. I'm hardly willing myself to forsake medical treatment or the scientific tradition in which it's based. Nonetheless, our medical model is really limited by the once mechanistic science that excluded the personal from the picture and from all of its equations. Along with Schubiner, I turned to an alternative model to understand what it means to see ourselves whole. Gestalt theory began about 100 years ago with experiments that refuted mechanistic accounts of perception. Experience is not built up from atoms of sensation. Rather, it is the whole that determines the parts. It's not that a link in the machine is broken. The problem is that patterns of meaning do not cohere. They don't fit together right. It's not a good gestalt. When I have lived through abuse or neglect, through childhood trauma or adult chronic stress, those may live on in me as ongoing tensions, the unfinished business of unfinished situations from my life. That has meaning in my life, still, right now. A meaning that my body might express as pain, or my psyche as anxiety, as depression. Here's an example of how pain can come from unresolved life situations without anything physical being broken. Fiona's pain started when she fell off a horse at age 10. The acute knee injury healed in a few weeks, but 6 months later she developed back and hip pain without any new injury. The symptoms escalated and Fiona's life grew smaller with the years. Her chronic fatigue support group confirmed that she would never recover, but could manage her symptoms somewhat. For another 14 years, Fiona resigned herself to persistent pain that prevented her from leaving her parents' house, working, exercising, traveling, or having a real social life. Imagine, over 14 years of living like that. She found an ad for an app called Curable. And the third time she saw that app, she got mad. She enrolled to prove that mind-body treatment could never work. So if a good attitude is a necessity for something to work for you, then this was an attempt to prove that a bad attitude can disprove it. She noted variations in her symptoms and wondered why. Why would the pain move around? She recalled past traumas and stress. In fact, she had been bullied at school and the teachers looked the other way. She had been sexually assaulted as a child and told no one because the person who assaulted her threatened that if she did, worse things would happen. As she devoted herself to the exercises, persevered and tested herself, as she saw a therapist for those trauma issues and opened them up for the first time, she recovered from over 14 years of misery within a couple of months. The pain and fatigue were gone, and at the time of the book's being written, gone for the last 7 years. It's not that Fiona's pain wasn't real, but it wasn't a case of broken bones, ligaments, or muscles. In essence, someone broke her as a person when she was just a young child. And she had never been able to resolve that, to heal that in any way, so it stayed with her. She wrote that throughout my illness, gradually over time, without consciously deciding this, I took on the identity of a sick person, of someone who had severe limitations and severe symptoms. I saw myself and defined myself that way, and many others saw me and defined me that way. Schubner's book is full of stories like Fiona's, as are other books I've read along with it. In almost every case, the whole outlook changed when the patient overthrew the governing assumption of the medical model and became curious about their pain. Once they set aside what doctors had declaimed with authority, once they didn't know what this meant, they were then able to interpret their pain in entirely new ways, and with that, reinterpret the possibilities of their lives. Does the pain ever move? Does it vary with some factor in your environment? What was going on in your life when the pain first struck or when it came back? Once they could see pain as an expression of the whole person, as a warning signal from the brain rather than something in the skin or the muscle tissue. Once they could do that, they could wonder what message their brain might be sending them in this insistent language of pain. Listen, dummy, listen, dummy, listen, dummy, listen, dummy, listen, dummy. I'm going to skip filling this part in the interest of time, but Dr. Schubiter had his own pains after he was dismissed from his hospital of 20 years. That just goes to show me that the whole person includes our interface with our social world too. We can bump up hard against institutions that may not share our values, and I know that my life has been much shaped by that. Schubiner sums that up this way. Most people, regardless of upbringing and the degree of stressful life events, will develop some form of neuroplastic condition. It's simply a byproduct of being human. So, what does it take for us to get from humanly broken to a human state of wholeness? We might need to be willing to surrender some of our most cherished assumptions. Here is a true story, one of very real structural damage. In 1986, a cyclist in a biathlon was hit by a car going 55 miles an hour, thrown up in the air, then dragged under the moving vehicle after they had landed squarely on their backside. The damage? 6 broken and collapsed vertebrae, a collapsed neural arch, and numerous shattered fragments pressed back toward the spinal cord. The prognosis? Cut out parts of the spine to implant steel rods, and there's a chance you'll walk again. Otherwise, paralysis is almost certain. The patient chose something no other had done in the specialist's 27 years of practice. He refused the surgery. Let me hit the pause button here to ask you, what would you think of this person's decision if I told you that they believed strongly in faith healing? I'm sure you'd grant them freedom of religion, but would you respect the basis of their decision, or would you be inclined to think only fools would fall for that temptation? And if I told you that this person's method of faith found him completely healed 9.5 weeks later, could you believe that? And if you can believe, tell me this: if that is possible, how can we ever say what makes miracles impossible in our lives? That seems to me inexplicable in any other way. This was not a Bible-based Christian, but a New Age pioneer, Dr. Joe D. Dispenza, who opens his book, You Are the Placebo, by recounting this. He was a chiropractor, by the way, so he knew a little about how skeletons are put together. I've been inspired by how well Joe D. Dispenza explains connections of body, mind, and spirit through well-researched science. But what if it had been a fundamentalist Christian? One of my classmates, Eric Walton, became a minister and recently told me how prayer had brought him a miracle cure. I believe him. If Schubiter's cases show us the healing powers we can draw on through our own minds and our bodies, you might say endogenous powers there, Dispenza's case takes these powers to mystical levels. There are more things in heaven and earth, Dr. Yount, than are dreamt of in your philosophy or the book you're writing. In any of our philosophies, maybe I need to be curious about faiths that are not only beyond my understanding. Maybe I need to be more open to faiths that I might not even accept. If I can be humbled by such a miracle, as I must be, I might even open my mind, my heart, to the chaos of my broader world. If my society looks to me torn and even broken, can I wonder about our American democracy the way Schubiter's patients would wonder about their back pain? Perhaps, in light of mind-body cures and sometimes even miracles, perhaps I can draw this underlying point from the Gestalt researches into wholeness. When I look at contrast and see only opposition, I am missing the picture. Maybe I can't see both perspectives at once, but they are complementary parts of that same whole in which I live and in which all of us are implicated. Perhaps, like those ambiguous duck rabbits, we can only have one when the other is there too, however hidden it is as background to what we figure. When I say to see ourselves whole, there's also an ambiguity to this ourselves. I've tried to draw out some clues to how each of us individually might see our individual self more whole. But if miracles are possible, might we somehow find a way to see even the collective ourselves whole? Where miracles are possible, might there even be hope for our fraught project of democracy? What kind of faith would that take? Ours, perhaps? Thank you.
Okay, now I have a correction for in the program. I need the singers. Yeah, we're going to sing 131 love will guide us instead of oh yeah, yeah. Okay? Just realized I didn't tell Gary.
We can follow that guy.
Oh, thank you guys. Rolling with it. I invite Mary Blizzard to come and extinguish our chalice. Thank you. Companions in covenant. As we extinguish this chalice, let us carry its glow into the choices ahead. Happiness grows not from comfort, but from connection, from feeling valued to ourselves and others, from enlarging our sympathies, from embracing a life of affection and purpose. So let this meeting not end in exhaustion, but in a quiet triumph, the kind that comes up from showing up, from listening deeply, from shaping the world, however slightly, with compassion and intent. We go forward not alone, but as companions in covenant, tending to the common good with humor, hope, with humor, and with heart. Amen. Namaste. Blessed be. Thank you.